Welcome back, crew. For our channel's March Madness, we are diving into the dark fantasy world of Symbaroum TTRPG by one of my favorite publishing companies, Free League Games. And today we're getting into the best part, or at least my favorite part, of any tabletop game, and that's making your own PC. So today I'm going to walk you through how to build a PC utilizing the Symbaroum systems, as well as go over a few of the core mechanics. Though we'll be doing a deeper dive in our next video, which will be more on the combat and adventuring mechanics of the Symbaroum system. But before we dive into the PC creation, as always, we're running, with this being our game of the month, we'll be holding a live actual play session, showcasing all Symbaroum can do. So make sure you join us Thursday, March 30th, actually on YouTube. Usually I say on my Twitch channel, but this is going to be our first game of the month we are running on YouTube. So definitely I'll throw a link down in the description. You can already have a little notification kicked up to remind you, but make sure you come through and get to see this system played out, but also get a chance to win a free PDF copy of the RPG. As always, one of our big missions with this channel is to get more people playing new tabletop RPGs they may not have considered. And especially with this one getting floated around as a little bit of a 5e replacement, I thought it would be a cool one to do. So make sure you join us the 30th, last Thursday of the month, and get to hang out with us as we go through the game. But yeah, let's dive into it. So today we're going to build Vecenro. As always, one of the big things I encourage you to do, and a lot of systems encourage you to do this too, is come up with a cool concept for the PC. When I'm thinking for Vecenro, he's going to be one of those people that he's pretty slick. He's got a silver tongue, and he utilizes that tongue to both lead and inspire others when he can. Sometimes he even uses it to dominate his foes, and just try to either talk his way out of conflict or just kind of use his presence to downplay them. He's definitely coming from the more civilized cities of the Symbaroum universe. We'll definitely, hopefully with time permits, we'll go a cool lore video too. They've got some fun stuff in there. So he's definitely going to have that civilized element. I'm thinking a human form too. So that's kind of just a high level what we want to build. And we're going to go into the core attributes, core skills, abilities, everything you can pick with this system to flesh Vecenro out, and just in general, what you can do as you're building your PC. So let's dive into it. So one of the first pieces to, and I want to give a big shout out to Free League Publishing for doing this, is they actually gave a two-page character creation sheet that goes over all of the core pieces that you need to build your PC. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know I love having a 1 to 2 page document that gives you all that right up front, so you don't have to kind of keep flipping back and forth through the pages. It makes it just so much easier for players, DMs alike, to be able to build their PC and know exactly what they need to do to get everything accomplished. So we're going to go through there. So with this system, you can pick an archetype or an occupation. So cool thing with this, I almost forgot to mention it. So with this system for Symbaroum, you can utilize the archetype if you'd like to. But one of the really cool pieces about it, and we're not going to be using the archetypes, is you can actually go through and build your PC, selecting the attributes and different things you want. You aren't locked into the archetypes. So it's a classless system, or it's a kind of a classless system. You could pick the archetypes, which gives you certain abilities and recommendations for where to put your attributes if you'd like to. And with the classes or the archetypes, they've got the core 3 that you'd expect from any fantasy game. You've got your magic user, your rogue, your warrior. You can kind of go through and pick what types of those fantasy archetypes you'd like to be, which they call your occupation. Or you can do like we're going to do and just go through and pick the attributes and skills and abilities that you want to build out your your fleshed out PC. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do a quick stop over to the archetypes just so you can kind of see how they're set up on that side. You see it kind of gives you some good ideas for where to put your attributes. For the warrior, core abilities that are part of that class. Just gives you a really good baseline, especially if you're new to the system or somewhat daunted by classless systems and not sure what to pick. These are a great way to get up and going quickly and make sure you have a good PC that's well-rounded. But I love just going through and just building exactly what I want. And I've really been feeling classless systems lately, so that's what we're going to do for Vecenro. We're going to go through and just build and pick the attributes and points that we want to go with. So now that we've done step one, we're going to go into the actual attributes. So this system has a number of different attributes, and one of the cool things is how you roll in this game. So a lot of you, if you're coming from 5e or Pathfinder, most of the major fantasy TTRPGs, this is a D20 system, but usually you roll that D20 and then you add whatever your attributes modifier is to your roll, enhanced by skills or whatever else may come. With Symbaroum, it's a little bit different. You still roll your d20, but let's say for persuasive, which is one of the skills included in the system, we're going to roll persuasive, and you actually want to roll below or equal to your attribute, and if you do so, you succeed. If you roll higher than your attribute, that's going to be a failure on whatever you're trying to do. And as a reminder with this one, DMs don't roll dice, so these failures and things like that will tell the story. It's all going to be kind of the players making their rolls and the dice telling their tales. So one of the big pieces with this, so similar on that side, is you want to have a higher attribute, but it's not due to the modifier. It's due to hopefully letting the rolls roll beneath that guideline. So with this system, there's two different ways you can go through and determine your attributes. You can either do point buy, where you have 80 points to spend, and you can kind of go through and spend them any way you'd like. That you have to be below, or you have to have most your scores be 15 or below, or you can just do the standard array, which we're going to do for Vecenro. So we're going to do the standard array, which is 15, 13, 11, 2 10s, 9, 7, and 5. So remember, for those low ones, you're going to want to put them in attributes you're not going to want to use too often, because if you roll below them, which like at the 5, it's going to be hard not to roll below. It's going to be pretty hard to get some successful skill checks. So for Vecenro, we're going to go through it, and you guys are going to kind of wonder why I'm doing a few of these attributes until we get into the abilities. It's cool with the system with the abilities. You can utilize that to really cover up some of your weak spots. But one of the big things with Vecenro, I wanted them to be persuasive. I wanted them to have that charisma build in them. In this system, you've got persuasive, which allows you to kind of how charming your words are, how much you're able to sway people to your side. And when you do rolls with persuasive, you're rolling against the target's resolute. So you roll your persuasive, which for our guy, we're going to give him that 15 in persuasive. If their resolute modifier is 0, we just have to roll below that 15. Now, if they have a high modifier or high kind of resolute score, that would make that modifier higher. So rather than 15, they had a +2 in resolute. We have to roll below a DC 13, and vice versa. If they've got a lower resolute, it would give us a higher modifier. We'd have to roll below a DC 17. So kind of cool on that side. We're going to go into that more in a mechanics video, but just wanted to give a quick heads up on that piece. But yeah, so we're going to put that 15 in persuasive, because that's kind of his core deal there. His next one, 13, I wanted him to be quick as well, and quick determines your initiative as well as how well you deal with jumping and avoiding harm. So we're going to put 13 there. We're going to put 11 in Resolute, which handles willpower as well as magical saves and kind of attributes there, and your corruption too. So we're going to put that 11 there. We're going to make them averagely strong, so we're going to put a 10 in strength, which is going to be all about your lifting, withstanding physical damage and disease. We're also going to put a 10 in vigilant, because he's perceptive. That's kind of how your perception goes. If everybody's trying to sneak around you or use discreet to stealth, you roll your perception against their discreet modifier and your perception total. And then finally, we're going to put our 7 in discreet. He's not the most stealthy guy. That's not his bag. He's loud. He's coming in, and he's proclaiming himself there wherever he goes. And then we're going to put the 5 into accurate, which is used typically to determine if an attack hits. Which you're probably wondering, why would you put a 5 there? We'll get into that in abilities. So we've got him built out. We've got his stats aligned. So that's all the pieces for attributes. And you see there's a couple pieces there too, where it gives you some of the sample rolls, as well as your kind of the attribute modifiers and how DMs will utilize those to modify rolls for if they're going up against an opponent for them. For instance, with attack, it's contested by quick, or accurate's contested by quick, so you'd change that modifier based on your opponent's quick if your PC's making an attack. So pretty simple there. A couple other things this is going to determine though as well. You see with the secondary attributes. So Toughness is like your HP in the system. That's going to be your strength score, but it can never be lower than 10. So for Vecenro, we put 10 in his strong, so that's going to be a 10 for him. Keeps it easy. Your pain threshold is half your strength, rounded up. Easy math for this one, so he's going to have a 5 in pain threshold. And defense, we haven't gotten to his armor yet, but that's quick minus your armor penalty. Impeding, I should say, value. And then the last piece, your corruption threshold, which is pretty cool. We're looking forward to diving into that mechanic side, which is going to be your resolution minus divided by 2, rounded up. Our resolute is 11, so that puts us at 6 for our corruption due to the roundup piece. Sweet. So we've gotten our attributes selected. Now we're going to actually go into picking our race for our PC. And they recommend too, they go for attributes first. Your race doesn't give you any bonuses to attributes, but even in their things, they say sometimes you're going to pick your attributes, you may want to go back and switch around depending on which race you pick. So with these, they've got a number of cool species. They've got human, which we're going with for Vecenro, but they also have changelings, ogres, the goblins, the works. So with this one, there's a number of different types of human you can be. We're going to be an Ambrian. They're kind of the civilized kingdom in this world, and I thought Vecenro would be a perfect fit from there. And with that, as you're building your PC, when you pick your race, you get a free trait always, but you also, for some species, get a trait you can buy onto as well, spending one of your ability points. So with this one, with the humans, they're kind of basic. So as an Ambrian, I can choose either between contacts or the privileged trait. We're taking privileged. But let's go to a changeling. I know they're one of the ones that you get to actually get one you could buy. So changeling, you always get long-lived for free. That's automatic. But if you wanted to utilize an ability, you could pick up their shapeshifter trait. So keeps it easy. For our human, we're just getting privileged. Our attributes are staying the same. I don't think we need to change anything there. Now we get to go into it to pick our abilities. So abilities, starting off, unless your DM modifies it, you have 2 options of the ways you can do this. As a brand new PC, you can either take 2 novice traits and 1 adept. We'll go into those rankings in a bit. Or you can take 5 novice traits. So initially I was going to do 2 and 1 adept, but I just kept saying cool thing after cool thing I wanted. So we're going 5 novices. And basically with these skills, you'll see too, as we go in, let's pick on acrobatics. You'll see that each level gives you different perks, and you have different things you can utilize with it. Some of them give you passive traits. Some of them give you actions, which you can take during combat or during your adventuring. And others give you free actions, which free actions you can use as many as you like. And then they also have, I think they call it retributions in the system, which reactions if you're coming from, those reactions. Reactions in the system. So it keeps it easy, aligned with 5e Pathfinder on that side, which are things you can utilize outside your turn, depending on the right circumstance. So for Vecenro, we want him to be charming, we want him to be a leader, we want him to be able to use his own charisma to dominate others, and we want him to have, I forgot to mention this, I want him to have a little bit of magic too. So we have a lot of different things we want to build in, so let's go through and select the different ones or different pieces that I think would build our guy. So first one we're going to go into, Dominate. Dominate's a cool one. This is all about, they got some cool flavor text, but due to time we won't read it. The really big piece, the reason I chose this is kind of fitting into his mold, but also it allows us to use our best attack or best roll for attack. So rather than using accurate, which we put at a 5, we can utilize persuasive, which we put at a 15. So when we roll an attack, we can use that, and we have a much better chance of hitting with that significantly higher than if we had kept it at that 5. So, since we are going, spreading our skills far and wide, we can only go to the novice level, but you see they also have a adept and master level where you get free actions, active actions, and things you can utilize with Dominate and get some more cool stuff with it. So, we got that piece. We still have 4 more left to go. So, let's see. The next one we have on there is Leader. So let's go to the leader side on this side. This is another cool one that's allowing us to really kind of stack up with our persuasive trait. So with leader, where did I pass it? There it is. So with this, due to your strong personality, you could use persuasive in place of resolute. for everything except your corruption score. So if you're using magic, typically you'd use resolute to roll, but with this, you can use persuasive. So our resolute was at 11. Now we can use persuasive, which is at a 15, which is going to help us out a little bit with the magic side. But just as a caveat, though, corruption is still going to be determined by your resolute score, which is why we didn't dump that one, because we wanted to make sure we can get that going right. So we've got that piece. Finally, for this portion, we're going to do man-at-arms. With that, it's going to let us know how to use our armor, which gives us a step up in our damage reduction die from our armor that we're getting. So with our armor, we're going with the base package. You get a light armor to start with. Stuff's expensive in this game. So we're going to use just that to get us a little bit better goal on that side. Cool thing, and I forgot to go into privileged, but privileged gives you some extra gold, as well as, or extra thales, I should say, as well as when you're in your people around the Ambrians for our guy, you'll be able to succeed on most checks without rolling. You only actually have to roll if it's something that's very unlikely or almost impossible, they say. So with that, we get a little bit of extra thales because you only start with 5 thales, and like everything is more costly than 5 thales. So that allows us a little bit more freedom with some of our equipment build, which we'll get to in a second. So we've got that. We're going to be taking the mystical power trait as well. No, I got a little confused here reading this myself. This is just a stand-in trait. So whenever you pick a power, you take the mystical power ability, and then you go into the actual powers, and you have to determine what mysticism art you're from, or you can make your own custom one too, but they recommend that you put a little bit of backstory or kind of thematic reasons behind that. But with this, we're from Ambrium, which usually is the wizardry. So we're going to use wizardry as our background. We're going to be just using a novice level of a power, but mark that down as one of our 5 abilities. We only have 1 left. And our last one for that, we are going to do wizardry. So typically when you take a power, you actually have to mark permanent corruption when you take it. Wizardry allows you to take a novice power, or at our novice level, it allows you to take a novice power without taking that corruption. You still take the temporary corruption whenever you cast a power, or cast that spell, but you're not corrupted from the start. So I thought that was cool, a little bit of flavor for our guy there. I didn't want him to be corrupted right from the start. So we're going to take that in and make sure he has that. So last piece here for the mystic power. So since we picked it, we're going to go to the mystic power section, and we're going to go to the one that we want for him. As I said, this guy's charming, but when charm fails, magic succeeds. So we're taking the bend will power. As you see, it's part of the wizardry. It doesn't have it marked on the power, but if there's another section in there that goes over the magic traditions and what powers they have available to them, this is one of the wizard ones. And this is an active power, and it'll allow us to bend the will of a creature around us. When we use this, we're going to go into this a little bit more in our mechanics video. You do have to roll a d4 every time you use a power for temporary corruption, with some things happening as that corruption builds. But we've got our 5 abilities: Dominate, Man-at-Arms, Leader, Wizardry, and then our Mystic Power, Bend Will. So we've gotten most of our pieces done. The last thing is to go through and build equipment for our PC. So with the system, you have a couple of different things you could start with. And actually, let's go backwards a little bit so we can see that in the system. So when you're building your PC, you can kind of go through and select the different equipment that you'd like. As you see, you start with different things either based on the equipment or the abilities you chose. So we chose Man-at-Arms. We could take medium armor if we wanted to. I decided not to. Medium armor is expensive, so we didn't worry about that there. But you also start with 5 Thale, and your choice of either if you want to use your starting gear from your abilities, or you could take the starting gear they provide, which is light armor. You could also pick a single-handed weapon and dagger, which we're taking for our PC. So now that we've got that portion out, let's go pick our actual armor and weapon for this. Oh, sorry, pass it up. So with this, we get a single-handed weapon. A fencing sword sounded appropriate for an aristocrat like Vecenro with that. So we're going to roll persuasive to hit due to our dominate trait. And if we do get a hit on that side, roll below 15 or whatever the modifier is with the PC's quickness. We would then get to add 1d8 to the damage. So we roll 1d8. You don't add your modifier for it. It's just a straight d8. And then be contested by the opponent's armor class if they have one, where they'd roll their armor die and reduce that damage. So we've got our weapon now. We're going to pick just a standard dagger to go along with it. Now the last piece is our light armor. So we're just doing standard light armor, which would typically be a d4 and then a -2 to impeding. With our man-at-arms, that's going to be a d6 because it bumps that die up by 1 step. But that's like the core pieces of building a PC. We're going to go into Roll20 to kind of show you how it all comes together for Vecenro and show you how everything lines up. But as you see, it's a pretty quick process. It doesn't take as long as some other RPGs to go through and build. But we've got a pretty cool flavor and a lot of different things Vecenro could do. So you see all of our pieces in there with our cunning, our discreet, our persuasive, and quick. You see our HP is in there, our fencing sword with I almost misplaced it, so it's supposed to be a D8 with that. We also have our light armor with -2 to impede, and you'll see too that's affected our kind of our quickness modifier there, so it gives us a little bit of a lower trait on that side. And then we've got all of our stuff in there. We've got privileged in there, which starts with 50 more Thalmar, or Thales, I should say, which we're going to, if I was playing this out, we'd buy a shield with it too, a little bit of extra durability. We got Dominate, Leader, Man-at-Arms, and our Bend the Will spell. So that was just a quick overview of how to build a PC utilizing the Symbaroum system. I'm super happy with the classes aspect. I had a blast going through and reading all the different abilities and see how I could add flavor as well as utility to Vecenro, while making it all kind of fit into the narrative. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Definitely sound off in the comments about any of your favorite builds you've done with Symbaroum, or any cool abilities or traits that you think are just noteworthy for the system itself. And then definitely, if you're new to the channel, each month we do this with a different tabletop RPG. So Symbaroum's our game of the month this month. And then our next video is going to be going into its mechanics for adventuring, combat, and all the above. So make sure to join us for that. And then definitely come through on YouTube this time for our live actual play of the system. I'm really looking forward to diving into this one, and we're actually going to be using the solo RPG rules for Symbaroum too. So we're going to have a video going on that too. So stay tuned for all of this. Like, subscribe, drop a comment, and until next time, everybody.